right. Hello, everybody. Hope you guys can hear me. All right. In today's lesson, I want to talk about finger picking patterns. I get a lot of questions about this topic, so I wanted to discuss it. I do have some song tutorials in my song library and here on the YouTube channel that use a couple of different finger picking patterns. So I want to discuss those and one extra one that I don't have any tutorials for, but it's another super simple one. So finger picking patterns, they can get pretty complicated, but I want to show you a couple that are simple in terms of their pattern, so they're easier to learn and they're a lot easier to kind of wrap your mind around. So that's what I want to start with today. If you guys have any if you're watching live and if you have any questions regarding finger picking patterns or anything I talk about today, just put it in the live chat section and I'll be happy to answer those questions. Okay, so the first pattern I'm going to talk about is called the inverse pattern. That's just the name I made up, but the way it works is that we're going to be kind of inversing our direction, so to speak. We're going to be it's a 6-beat pattern, so we're going to have basically 6 beats within the pattern before the pattern repeats. So we're going to go down for 3 beats, and then we're going to come back up for the other 3 beats. So that's why it's kind of like, you know, you're inversing. You're doing it halfway, you're doing one direction, the other halfway you're doing the other direction. And so we're going to use our thumb for the first 3 beats going down. For instance, like this. Okay, so that's our first 3 beats, 1, 2, 3. And then the last 3 beats we're going to come back up, and we can use our middle and first finger, 1, 2, 3, something like that, or just our first finger, 1, 2, 3, or just our second finger. That really doesn't matter which finger you use there. Okay, so that's how the pattern works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now, something to keep in mind, no matter what finger picking pattern you're using, is to always start beat 1 on the root note of the chord. Okay, so you can use your thumb to hit the root note of the chord on the first beat of every measure. Okay, because the listener needs to hear the root note, because that's going to identify the chord. So you have to start with that. So if I'm playing a G chord, then my first note that I have to pluck is that E string, which is my G note. Okay, so everybody's going to hear that G very clear at the beginning of the measure. It's going to kind of set the that measure's chord, or the key of that measure right there. Okay, so that's important. You're always going to start beat 1 with that root note. Okay. So in this case, let's say I'm doing a G, and I'm going 3 down with my thumb. 1, 2, 3. You'll notice that I'm skipping the A string. I'm doing the E string, and I'm skipping the A string, and I'm doing D and G. Okay, and the reason I'm doing that is because if I play E and A right on top of each other, they kind of muddy each other up, and that G, that root note, kind of becomes unclear when I play another really deep, low pitch string right after it. Okay, so they kind of muddy each other up. So that's why I skip that A string and I go to the D string. Okay, it kind of lets that root note be more clear. Okay, so again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now let's say from G I go to a C chord, or in this case C add 9. Then my root note here is that C. It needs to be the C note, which is going to be my A string. I'm pressing down right here on the 3rd fret, and that makes my C note. So I need to start there, okay, with that C. And in this case, I'm going to do the A string, E, and G. A, D, with my thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's a very, very easy picking pattern because again, we're not kind of going all over the place, going from all of these different strings and trying to combine them. It's a very straightforward pattern. We're going down 3 and up 3, down 3 and up 3. Okay, so it makes it nice and simple. Now, you can use that for a lot of songs. For instance, let's see, we have What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Okay, so you can use it for that song. There's a lot of songs you can use it for, and I have that song, What a Wonderful World. I have that tutorial using this pattern on my channel. So if you want to find it, just go search on the channel for What a Wonderful World. That's a great example of a song that uses it. And there's other ones for sure on the website and on the channel. Okay. Okay, that's one. Okay, so the other pattern I want to talk about is very similar to that inverse pattern. But instead of 6 beats per measure, we're going to make it 4 beats per measure. Okay, so the 6 beats per measure, that, any song that's in 4/4 time, you can't use the inverse pattern because the inverse pattern is not in 4/4 time. It would be in 6/8 time. So you can't, and 4/4 time is the most common time signature in music. Okay. So you can take that inverse pattern and kind of modify it to make it work for songs that are in 4/4 time. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we'll just call this pattern the inverse drive pattern. Okay, because the driving pattern is the strumming pattern that I teach. That's the 4/4 time strumming pattern. So this one's going to be picking with that inverse idea. Okay. But now instead of 3 down and 3 up, we're going to do 2 down and 2 up. So that way, total, we have 4 beats, and that's going to make it in 4/4 time. Okay? All right, so let me show you an example. So let me hold my G chord again. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but instead of 3 down and 3 up, just 2 down and 2 up. So I'm going to start always with the root note of the chord. So if I'm holding G, got to start on that E string. Got to start on that E string right here. 1, 2. So I've got 1, 2 down, and then 2 up. And I can do B and G, or I can do E and B. Coming back this way. That is personal preference. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so same idea as the inverse pattern. We're just doing it with a total of 4 beats instead of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so again, 1, 2, E and B, or 1, 2, B and G. It doesn't matter. And really, you can take any song that's in 4/4 time, and instead of strumming to it, you can fingerpick it with this pattern, and it would work. Okay. Now, if it's a really fast song, it might kind of sound strange, but for the slower songs, it would work really well. Okay. So let me give you an example. I actually use this pattern in one of my tutorials on the song "I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day," which, let's see if I can remember how it goes. It's in C, so I've got my C chord, which means I need to start on the A string for that C note. 1, 2, 3, 4. I heard the bells on Christmas wallows play, wild and sweet, their words repeat of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Okay, something that while I was playing this, I just realized for any chords, any of the D chords, like I just played a D minor, okay, right here. D minor, we need to start on the D string, okay, so we're skipping E and A. So we have to start here. So in this case, let's see. So in this case, we have D, G, E, B. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So that would count for, that would be like that, like this for D minor or D7 or D major or any D chord where you need to start on the D string. Okay. All right. All right, so those are the two most common. Those will give you a lot of options to do finger picking for a lot of songs. Okay, we can turn, again, any song that's in 4/4 time into finger picking by using that pattern right there. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go over one more, and this one, let's see, this one is actually a 2/4 time signature. Finger picking pattern. Super simple though, and you can actually use it for 4/4 time songs as well, but the pattern is really only 2 beats. We have, so I'll keep using this G chord as my example. So I've got my G chord. I'm going to always start with that root. Okay, so I'm going to play the root note with my thumb, and I'm going to use my first and second fingers simultaneously to play 2 strings at the same time. In this case, I'll just do B and G, okay? So I got 1 with my thumb, 2 with these 2 fingers. And that's it. 1, 2, 1, 2. And I just repeat that over and over again. And if I need a switch, I can switch, I've switched to C, then my thumb needs to go to the A string for that C note. So that's a real easy one. That's a finger picking pattern. Let me show you an example of a song that uses this one. The song Your Hands by J.J. Heller. So let me go ahead and just kind of play through the beginning of this song. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to use my capo here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll put it really high. Okay, same chords though. I have unanswered prayers. I have trouble I wish wasn't there. And I've asked 1,000 ways that you would take my pain away. That you would take my pain away. I'm trying to understand how to walk this weary land. Make straight the paths that crooked lie. Oh Lord, before these feet of mine. Oh Lord, before these feet of mine. When my world is shaking, heaven stands. When my heart is breaking, always in your hands. Okay, so that's a really nice, really pretty song that you can use that super simple pattern with. It's really simple, and you could use it again with other songs that are in 4/4 time, and it works very well. Okay. All right, so those are 3 finger picking patterns to get you started. And again, I have some tutorials that use those first 2 I mentioned. That third one is just an extra. I don't have any tutorials yet that use that one. but maybe I'll do some in the future. But that song, Your Hands, is a great one to practice that pattern with. Okay, let's see. All right, well, hello there. I see some comments here. David, can I stick plectrums to a glove? I'm not sure. I'm assuming plectrums, by plectrums you mean the pick, like finger picks maybe? I know that they do make finger picks that go on your fingers, and you can use that. But personally, I just use the pads of my fingers. I don't use my fingernails. I just use the pads of my fingers, and to me, I like that sound more than doing finger picking with picks or my nails, because it has and this is a personal preference. But when you finger pick with picks on your fingers or with a pick, the sound is a lot more tinny, or it's a lot louder. Whereas if you do it with the pads of your finger, it's a lot softer, a softer sound. And finger picking, usually I will use finger picking for softer songs, so it works well to use. I like the sound that it makes when you use just the pads of your fingers, as opposed to the louder sound with your fingernails or with finger picks. Okay, but again, that's a personal preference. You could always try finger picks. Again, it's a pick with a connector that kind of slips onto your finger, and it kind of acts like a long fingernail, right? That you can finger pick with. So yes, you can experiment with that and see which one you prefer. Awesome. Okay, great. Well, hopefully, guys, that was useful for you all. Hopefully, you're going to get some practice out of it. Again, go check out some song tutorials that I have that use some of these patterns, so you can kind of start practicing. And as you get some songs under your belt using finger picking, then you can broaden your abilities and try out some different patterns or make up your own, and go from there. Okay. All right, guys, y'all take care, and I'll see you in the next lesson that we do. Okay, bye.